Welcome gamers. Are you ready to dive into the ultimate gaming experience? Over the past 3 years, the PlayStation 4 has continued to deliver some of the most thrilling, immersive, and unforgettable games. From epic adventures to heart-pounding action, we've seen it all. In this video, we're counting down the top 40 PlayStation 4 games released between 2021 and 2023. Whether you're a seasoned gamer or just looking for your next favorite game, this list has something for everyone. So, grab your controller, sit back, and let's jump into the best of the best that the PS4 has to offer.
Elden Ring is a hardcore RPG developed by From Software. It merges the combat and lore of the famous Dark Souls games with a more developed narrative and open-world map. The game is set in a vast, sad world of big trees, beasts, and magic. You play as a tarnished of no renown, blessed by grace. You are compelled to make the journey to the lands between and become an Elden Lord. The grand story is hard to fully digest on a first playthrough. The game rewards your curiosity with interesting encounters, valuable rewards, or something even greater. It seamlessly weaves a full-on Dark Souls game into the middle of it. The game is challenging at times, vicious at others, but mostly incredibly fun. The enjoyable pace makes the hours of play pass by like water. Each path opens up a few more, only to come together again after a fair amount of exploration. The game is huge in comparison to the previous games. It reaches new heights, but spends too much time in familiar From Software territory. It is considered one of the highest-rated games of all time.
Hogwarts Legacy is an immersive, open-world action RPG set in the magical world first introduced in the Harry Potter books. The game takes place at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry and its surrounding areas. Your character, a student, holds the key to an ancient secret that threatens to tear the wizarding world apart. This mystery drives the main storyline. During character creation, players can choose their appearance, gender, voice, and body type. Embark on a journey through both familiar and new locations. Explore the magical world, encounter fantastic beasts, and uncover hidden secrets. Master spellcasting, brew potions, and upgrade talents as you progress.
LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga is a delightful addition to the LEGO game series, offering both adventure and excitement. It features stunning set pieces from all 9 mainline Star Wars films and a vast number of iconic planet hubs to explore. The game provides a fresh perspective with a tighter, over-the-shoulder third-person view. This new perspective enhances the combat system, making lightsaber attacks and force pushes feel satisfyingly precise. The game's charm is evident in its humor, with every cutscene featuring visual gags or punchlines at the film series' expense. This sense of humor, reminiscent of the classic Star Wars parody Spaceballs, centers the experience. The Skywalker Saga covers all the ground of previous games in the series, including The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker in LEGO form for the first time. It's a grab bag of different gameplay styles, all lent just enough depth to make them work.
Resident Evil 4 is a survival horror game developed and published by Capcom. It's a remake of the 2005 classic, reimagined with state-of-the-art graphics and gameplay. Players control U.S. Agent Leon S. Kennedy, tasked with saving Ashley Graham, the daughter of the U.S. president, from the mysterious Los Illuminados cult. Set 6 years after the Raccoon City incident, Leon embarks on a daring rescue mission in a secluded European village. Something terribly wrong awaits him there. The gameplay preserves the essence of the original while introducing modernized mechanics. Expect intense combat, resource management, and puzzles. Alongside Leon and Ashley, players encounter memorable characters like Ada Wong, Louise Sarah, and the menacing villagers. The game boasts vividly detailed graphics, enhancing the horror experience for both new players and fans of the original. Resident Evil Village is a survival horror game developed and published by Capcom. It is the sequel to Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, and continues the story of the protagonist, Ethan Winters. The game is set in a sinister rural village, reminiscent of Resident Evil 4. The story revolves around Ethan's quest to save his infant daughter, who has been kidnapped by a wicked cabal of monster maniacs. These antagonists include Lady Dimitrescu, a towering vampire, and other grotesque creatures. Each villain presides over their own visually distinctive domain, from opulent castles to grungy mechanical facilities. The game offers a variety of horror experiences, with some areas requiring stealth and others focusing on combat. The village itself is a scrappy, ramshackle scattering of wood and brick houses, farmers' fields, and the occasional church. Over it looms a gothic castle with immense spires stretching into the mist. The game features a variety of enemy types, including zombie ghouls, flying gargoyles, and full-on werewolves. Stray is a captivating third-person adventure game developed by Blue 12 Studio and published by Annapurna Interactive. The game is set in a decaying cybercity, teeming with curious droids and dangerous creatures. You play as a stray cat, lost and separated from family, navigating the neon-lit alleys of the city and its seedy underbelly. The cat's journey involves untangling an ancient mystery to escape this long-forgotten city. The gameplay is immersive, allowing you to leap across platforms, climb obstacles, and interact with the environment in playful ways. You can be stealthy, nimble, and sometimes as annoying as possible with the strange inhabitants of this mysterious world. Along the way, the cat befriends a small flying drone, known only as B-12. With B-12's help, they must find a way out. The game's aesthetics were influenced by Kowloon Walled City, which the developers felt could be appropriately explored by a cat. Stray offers a unique perspective, allowing you to see the world through the eyes of a cat.
Lies of P is a Souls-like game inspired by the story of Pinocchio. It's a dark and gory adventure where you hack and slash your way through a dystopian world of marionettes. The game stands out with its impressive story, extremely well-tuned combat, memorable areas, and boss fights. The game's story is a dark reimagining of Carlo Collodi's Pinocchio. It features an untrustworthy cat and fox and a neat mechanic where you have to choose to tell lies or the truth. These choices impact the outcome of your adventure. Despite some mechanical clumsiness, Lies of P is a competent action game with a unique toolset for experimentation. It's a successful gothic folktale reimagining, turning Pinocchio into a blank-faced metal death machine. Lies of P is a solid, well-thought-out game that sticks closely to the formula developed by From Software. It's an impressive, incredibly fun, and often brutal experience.
God of War. Ragnarok is an action-adventure game developed by Santa Monica Studio and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. This game marks the first cross-gen release in the God of War series. The game is set in ancient Scandinavia and features series protagonist, Kratos, and his now teenage son, Atreus. The game covers Ragnarok, the eschatological event central to Norse mythology. The gameplay is similar to the previous 2018 installment, featuring combo-based combat, puzzle, and role-playing elements. Kratos acquires a magical spear and his shield becomes more versatile, with different types of shields having differing offensive and defensive abilities. Atreus, as well as some other characters, provide assistance in combat and can be passively controlled. For the first time in the series, there are some story missions where the player takes full control of Atreus. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is an action-adventure game developed by Eidos Montreal and published by Square Enix. The game is set in an original universe based on the Marvel Comics superhero team. The plot follows the Guardians who, while attempting to capture a beast for a wealthy collector, inadvertently trigger a catastrophe which threatens the peace of the galaxy. The player controls Star-Lord, the team's self-proclaimed leader, and issues commands to other Guardians including Drax the Destroyer, Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, and Groot. The game features dialogue trees that affect the relationships between Guardians and change the outcome of missions. Despite its lighthearted tone, themes of trauma and grief are central to the story.
Horizon Forbidden West is a captivating sequel to the 2017's Horizon Zero Dawn. It builds on the original's intense combat and offers an open world full of compelling characters, an intriguing story, and more super awesome robot dinosaurs. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic world filled with quests and technological mysteries. The protagonist, Aloy, is a complex combination of human and synthetic life. Her journey is packed with mystery and numerous twists and turns. The game offers a rich, compelling world that rewards you for the effort you put into it. It features a beautiful array of diversity, including non-binary representation and characters with disabilities. Despite some familiar elements, the game feels like an evolution, with each quest having a depth and breadth that's consistently surprising. The game is a fantastic showcase of enthralling combat, top-tier creature and character design, and a captivating open world.
It Takes Two is a co-op adventure game developed by Haze Light Studios. The game revolves around a squabbling couple, Cody and May, who have been magically transformed into dolls by the eccentric Dr. Hakim. The game's world is filled with magical realist twists, taking players on a wild journey. The gameplay is filled with variety, from steering a giant pencil to casting spells in a dungeon crawl. The game constantly introduces new mechanics, keeping the gameplay fresh and exciting. The platforming essentials are responsive, allowing for effortless levels of platforming precision. The character-specific abilities compel players to work as a team. The game is praised for its creativity, playfulness, and rewarding experimentation. It also offers a compelling mystery that hooks players throughout the playthrough. Despite its intense and brutal tone, the game is also known for its grimly beautiful set pieces. The game is played from a first-person perspective, enhancing the intensity and immersion.
Sifu is a thrilling beat-em-up game developed and published by Slocklab. The game is set in modern-day China and puts you in control of a young kung fu student on a path of revenge. The protagonist seeks vengeance on those responsible for their father's death. The game is played from a third-person perspective and is inspired by Bak Mei Kung Fu. It includes over 150 unique attacks. Basic attack moves can be chained together, with some combos granting players additional tactical opportunities. Sifu is a run-based action game. The environment can be used to your advantage, with throwable objects, makeshift weapons, windows, and ledges. The odds are stacked against you, so you'll need to use everything at your disposal to prevail. When the player dies, they are magically resurrected at the spot where they die and age several years. As the player character ages, their strikes will be more powerful, but they will have less health.
Diablo 4, fourth installment in Blizzard Entertainment's iconic action RPG series, brings players back to the dark and gritty world of Sanctuary. Set years after the events of Diablo 3, the game plunges players into a realm ravaged by demonic forces and human strife. Lilith, the daughter of Mephisto, emerges as the primary antagonist, promising a narrative steeped in lore and a return to the series' darker roots. The game features an open-world structure, allowing for a more immersive exploration of Sanctuary's varied regions, from desolate wastelands to haunting forests. Players can choose from 5 distinct classes: Barbarian, Sorceress, Druid, Rogue, and Necromancer, each offering unique abilities and playstyles. The combat system retains its fast-paced, visceral nature, with improvements to animations and physics, making every encounter more engaging. Diablo 4 also introduces a more interactive environment, with features like climbing and swimming, adding depth to exploration and strategy. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is an action role-playing first-person shooter video game developed by Gearbox Software and published by 2K. It's a spin-off in the Borderlands series and a sequel to Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep. The game is set within the world of a fantasy-themed tabletop role-playing game. In this game, you embark on an epic adventure full of whimsy, wonder, and high-powered weaponry. You can roll your own multi-class hero, then shoot, loot, slash, and cast on a quest to stop the Dragon Lord. The game is available for Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 and PC. The game world is unpredictable and chaotic, guided by the disorderly Tiny Tina. It features outlandish monsters and loot-filled dungeons. Trek to Yomi is a side-scrolling action game developed by Flying Wild Hog and published by Devolver Digital. Set during the Edo period of feudal Japan, the game follows a young swordsman named Hiroki who embarks on a quest of vengeance when his home village is burned. This leads him to enter Yomi, the Japanese underworld, and confront the evils of his past. The game features intense combat encounters, light exploration, and a striking presentation. There are 2 modes of melee attack. Light attacks are fast but weak, and heavy attacks are slow but strong. A well-timed block will break an enemy guard, giving players an opportunity to counterattack. New weapons such as Ozutsu, bow shurikens, and ranged weapons like bows and arrows unlock as the player progresses in the game. The game also features bosses, mythological creatures, and other supernatural elements. While the game is set in the Edo period, it also features a cinematic mode which lowers the game's difficulty level. Once the player completes the game once, they will unlock an extra difficulty mode in which the player character would die immediately when they are hit.
The Callisto Protocol is a survival horror game developed by Striking Distance Studios and published by Krafton. The game is set on Jupiter's moon Callisto in the year 2320. Players assume the role of Jacob Lee, an inmate at Black Iron Prison. After surviving a crash landing on Callisto, Jacob is captured and incarcerated against his will in a high-security prison. A mysterious illness sweeps the prison, forcing Jacob to fight for survival. As he navigates through the chaos, he gradually uncovers the dark secrets of his captors. The gameplay involves exploring a series of levels, gathering resources, and collecting data logs while fighting off infected prisoners. Jacob's health is indicated by an implant on the back of his neck called a CORE device. Health can be replenished with injectable packs found throughout levels. Jacob can use weapons to combat enemies, as well as a melee system to dodge enemy attacks while looking for openings to strike and kill them. Both combat styles can be mixed up, providing greater variety when facing enemy types. The Quarry is an interactive drama survival horror adventure game developed by Supermassive Games and published by 2K Games. The game is set in the remote forests of upstate New York at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. Players control the fates of 9 teenage camp counselors who find themselves stranded for one more night at the camp. Their party plans unravel into an unpredictable night of horror. The gameplay is cinematic and played from a third-person perspective. Players must make difficult decisions that can change character development, the plot, and the relationships between characters. All 9 playable characters may survive or die, depending on the player's decisions. The game features supernatural creatures and violent locals. The player's vigilance in finding evidence and clues determines the game's conclusion. The game has 186 different endings, affected by player choices and performances in QuickTime events.
Nier Replicant version 1.22, often referred to as the Nier Replicant Remaster, is a reimagining of the 2010 action RPG, Nier. This remastered version enhances the original game without losing its unique charm. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic world that has returned to pastoral fantasy. It follows a boy on a quest to cure his sister of a terrible disease. The game's world is brought to life with voice acting for every character, a significant improvement over the original. The remaster features improved character models, satisfying hack-and-slash mechanics, and a haunting soundtrack. The combat system has been revamped, making it feel extremely comparable to Nier Automata's. The integration of weapon combat with skills has been smoothed out, improving the overall feel of Nier's combat.
Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon is a modern mecha action game developed by From Software. It offers a unique blend of intense, focused action and strategic mech customization. The game features a rock-solid 60 frames per second frame rate, gorgeous graphics, and an intuitive control scheme. It also introduces a variety of objectives that favor different styles of play. The game's story unfolds over radio conversations and mission briefings set on the mining planet of Rubicon. However, the storytelling could have been more engaging. The heart of Armored Core 6 lies in its customization elements. Players can equip their mech with 4 weapons, a unique head, body, legs, generator, booster, and fire control system. Each part has its own weight, defensive value, health, and attitude stability.
Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is an HD remaster of the original Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII game. The game is an action role-playing game set in the universe of Final Fantasy VII. It primarily focuses on Zack Fair, a young member of the paramilitary organization Soldier. Zack, along with his seniors Angeal and Sephiroth, is sent on a mission to investigate the mass disappearance of his fellow soldier operatives. The game features new models and lighting, redone voices for consistency with the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, and rearranged music. The graphics are redone in high fidelity, and the interface resembles that of Final Fantasy VII Remake in appearance, using the power of Unreal Engine 4. Many characters, creatures, and objects have been redesigned to match their Final Fantasy VII Remake counterparts. Far Cry 6 is an open-world action game that immerses players in a richly detailed world with a compelling narrative and engaging gameplay mechanics. The game is set on the fictional island nation of Yara, primarily modeled after Cuba. The island is controlled by a charismatic madman, Anton Castillo, portrayed by Giancarlo Esposito. The game's strengths lie in its captivating setting, well-acted characters, and diverse gameplay options. It offers a mix of survival and physics playground elements, with features like pet bears and flamethrowers. The game provides a good time whether you choose to silently eliminate enemy guards or go the less subtle route of throwing bullets and molotovs. The game is a quintessential Far Cry experience, where you begin as an underdog and end up as a hero.
Dying Light 2: Stay Human is an action role-playing survival horror video game developed and published by Techland. It is a sequel to the original Dying Light. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic city overrun by zombies. Players assume the role of Aiden Caldwell, an infected survivor with various parkour skills. The game is mostly melee-based, with the majority of fighting using melee weapons. Weapons can be upgraded with different blueprints and components. The game features a zombie apocalyptic-themed open world. Players can perform actions such as climbing ledges, sliding, leaping off from edges, and wall running to quickly navigate the city. Tools such as a grappling hook and a paraglider also aid traversal in the city.
Kina, Bridge of Spirits is a visually stunning action-adventure game developed by Ember Lab. The game's protagonist, Kina, is a spirit guide who aids spirits unable to transition to the next life. The gameplay involves a blend of action, puzzle solving, and platforming. The game's world is beautifully crafted, with Pixar-esque character designs and animations. The story unfolds in a dying land, where Kina guides troubled spirits and seeks the sacred mountain shrine. The character designs and animations are commendable, making every character, especially Kina, instantly endearing. However, the game's storytelling and progression have been criticized as somewhat bland. Despite this, the combat system is exciting, simple, and surprisingly challenging. The game follows a linear progression, guiding players through major zones, each requiring the collection of specific items, boss fights, and upgrades. Life is Strange. True Colors is an adventure game developed by Deck 9 and published by Square Enix. The game's protagonist is Alex Jin, a young woman who can experience the emotions of others. Alex has psychic empathy powers that allow her to read and manipulate emotions, which she perceives as colorful auras. This unique ability adds fascinating gameplay opportunities. The plot focuses on Alex as she tries to solve the mystery behind a tragedy in her life. After her brother dies under mysterious circumstances, Alex uncovers the secrets of the fictional mining town of Haven Springs.
Multiversus is free-to-play crossover platform fighting game. Developed by Player First Games and published by Warner Bros. Games, it features content from franchises owned by Warner Bros. Discovery. In Multiversus, players battle on different stages, attempting to knock the opponent beyond the stage's boundary by dealing sufficient damage. It brings together a gaggle of characters from the Warner Bros. universe in bouncing and jumping battles. You can team up with or against your friends using some of the world's most iconic characters including Batman, Shaggy, Superman, Bugs Bunny and more. The game offers a wild jamboree of iconic characters throwing down in wonderfully weird ways. You can pair Marvin the Martian and Arya Stark or Velma with Batman. It's a roller coaster of fun and a universe of endless possibilities. Metal Hellsinger is a unique blend of rhythm and FPS gameplay. Developed by Swedish developer The Outsider. In the game, you play as the Unknown, a character who is part human, part demon, and obsessed with vengeance. Your journey takes you through the fiercest domains of hell. The game features an epic storyline, narrated by award-winning actor Troy Baker. The gameplay is heavily influenced by the rhythm of metal music. Your ability to shoot on the beat directly impacts both the damage you deal and how awesome the music sounds. The more in sync you are with the rhythm, the more intense the music becomes and the more destruction you cause. The game features music created specifically for the game by composer duo Two Feathers, with vocals by metal icons such as Serge Tankian, Randy Blythe, Alyssa Whitegloves, and many more. It's a rhythm FPS bursting with demons, badass weapons, and heavy metal music. Saints Row is an action-adventure game developed by Volition and published by Deep Silver. It is a reboot of the Saints Row series and the fifth main installment following 2013's Saints Row 4. The game is set within the fictional city of Santo Ileso, loosely based on Las Vegas. The single-player story follows a group of 4 friends who start their own outlaw gang called the Saints. They subsequently expand by seizing power from other criminal organizations in the city. The game is played from a third-person view and its open world is navigated on foot or by vehicle. Players can fight enemies using a variety of firearms and other tools and call in non-playable gang members to assist them. Players control the gang's leader, nicknamed the Boss, who features highly customizable traits. Outside of the main story, players can freely explore Santo Ileso and engage in several different side activities.
Little Nightmares 2 is a captivating sequel to the original game, developed by Tarsia Studios. This horror-adventure game introduces a new protagonist, Mono, who dons a paper bag mask. Mono is accompanied by Six, the protagonist from the original game. The game is set in the Pale City, a seemingly abandoned metropolis filled with oversized horrors. The city is not as deserted as it first appears, with childhood horrors such as creepy mannequins, a monstrous schoolteacher, and a sadistic doctor lurking around every corner. The gameplay involves puzzle solving and stealth mechanics. Mono has the ability to pick up and wield different weapons, which adds a new dimension to the gameplay. Back 4 Blood is a co-op first-person shooter developed by Turtle Rock Studios. Set in a post-apocalyptic world, you play as one of the 8 cleaners, zombie-killing mercenaries. The game is a spiritual successor to the Left 4 Dead series. It offers a thrilling campaign mode where you and your team fight off hordes of zombies, known as the Ridden. The gameplay is intense and satisfying, with a variety of weapons to choose from. Each cleaner has unique stat bonuses, inviting slightly different playstyles. One of the game's unique features is its card-based progression system. Before each mission, players can build a deck of cards that provide various in-game advantages. Despite its intense action, the game maintains a lighthearted tone, with characters often cracking jokes amid the chaos. The game also includes a versus mode, though some players find it less engaging. Alan Wake Remastered, developed by Remedy, is a survival horror shooter game. The game presents a psychological thriller in its most radiant form. It's set in a quiet mountain village, where the protagonist Alan Wake, a crime fiction author, experiences supernatural events. The game's story is gripping and surreal, with a Stephen King-style thriller viewed through the dreamlike lens of David Lynch. The narrative unfolds through manuscript pages that the player finds, which describe events that manifest themselves into subsequent events. The game's atmosphere is one of fear and tension, making it a place where it's perfectly acceptable to be afraid of the dark. The combat is fantastic, and the creepy atmosphere makes Alan Wake's quest thrilling from beginning to end. The remastered version presents the 11-year-old game in its most radiant form. While the details in its moody environments are now far easier to make out, its gameplay shortcomings are presented in equally stark relief. However, it's still a ripping yarn filled with creepy moments. Biomutant is an imaginative, single-player action RPG set in a post-apocalyptic world where tiny mammals have become martial arts masters. The game features fantastic enemy creature designs and a deep well of combat options, along with customizable weapons. However, it has been criticized for its basic and repetitive objectives, quests, and puzzles. The story seems to regularly overstate its own substance. Drawing inspiration from various sources, including The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild and Borderlands, Biomutant has a unique component, but its structure is anything but unique. The open-world aspect of Biomutant did more harm than good, with layers of great ideas drawn on an imperfect mind map.
System Shock Remake is a modern rendition of the 1994 classic brought to life by Nightdive Studios. The game is set in the Trioptimum Corporation Citadel space station, where you play as a hacker who has inadvertently caused chaos by disabling the ethical limitations of the AI Shodan. Shodan, the game's iconic villain, has transformed the station's crew into cyborgs and mutants and plans to extend her reign to Earth. The game is a blend of first-person shooter and survival horror, with a strong emphasis on exploration and puzzle solving. The remake retains the original's complex level design, requiring players to navigate through interconnecting corridors, rooms, and locked gates. It also maintains the original's cyberpunk aesthetic, complete with smart guns and an evil corporation. Evil West is a third-person shooter game developed by Flying Wild Hog and published by Focus Entertainment. In the game, players assume control of Jesse Rentier, a vampire hunter equipped with several powerful firearms and a specialized gauntlet capable of accumulating electrical energy. Enemies can be stunned and staggered following a melee attack, and players can execute enemies using a special finisher move. The environment can be used to the player's advantage, and the game features boss characters with unique attack patterns. As the player progresses, they level up and gain skills and abilities. The campaign can be played cooperatively with another player. The game has 16 missions that take roughly 10 to 15 hours to complete. Jesse Rentier is one of the last agents of a top-secret vampire hunting institute and must protect the American frontier from supernatural monstrosities. The game allows players to become a Wild West superhero, eradicate the vampire threat, and save the United States. The game features visceral, explosive combat against bloodthirsty monstrosities.
The Dark Pictures. House of Ashes, developed by Supermassive Games, is a horror-adventure game. The game is set in an ancient Sumerian temple, where Marines and CIA agents find themselves exploring. The game setup, with each entry spinning a new yarn, has allowed Supermassive to cast a wide net. The game's gruesome bat-like antagonists don't give a care about bullets. Despite the soldiers being heavily armed, they find themselves expending a lot of ammo and explosives. The game features long, flashy QTEs, ranking as some of Supermassive's most entertaining and elaborate. The game's story is fast-paced and fun. It has its issues, both technically and with not really having anything interesting to build into its Iraq war setting. However, it's still a hoot to play. The Dark Pictures Anthology's yearly offerings of horror-adventure games have been middling at best, and House of Ashes, the third entry in the series, retains the status quo. Hitman 3, the final chapter of IO's World of Assassination trilogy, is a stealth game that features Agent 47's unique brand of slow-paced stealth. The game is known for its dense, deadly, and deeply varied murder playgrounds. It offers 6 outstanding new maps, each providing hours of chaos, carnage, and cruel comedy. The game doesn't stray from the killer chord combination developer IO Interactive, crafted for 2016's Hitman. The most notable new toy in Hitman 3 is a camera, which can be used to hack or examine switches and items. All 6 of Hitman 3's beautiful and strikingly well-lit levels are amongst the strongest of the series. The game starts with 47 parachuting onto the world's tallest building in Dubai, followed by a mission in a massive UK country manor. Then it's off to a massive German rave for a mission that oozes atmosphere. The next stop is Chongqing, China, where the glow of neon lights and the trickle of rain down 47's jacket combine for a visually impressive mission. The game then takes you to an Argentinian vineyard, and the finale is a fabulous surprise unlike any Hitman mission to date. The game is rich, rewarding, and highly replayable. Battlefield 2042 is a first-person shooter that takes you into a near-future setting full of high-tech gadgets. It's known for its large-scale multiplayer war shooters and sets a new standard for built-in custom mode support. The game features 128 players simultaneously running into crowded war zones. One of the highlights of Battlefield 2042 is its Hazard Zone mode, which provides an interesting strategic alternative. It also introduces portal tools, allowing for crazy customizations. The game does away with single-player options, focusing on infantry and vehicle-based shootouts across huge, beautiful maps. It also introduces a roster of 10 playable specialists based off of the original 4 Battlefield classes: Assault, Support, Recon, and Engineer. Call of Duty: Modern Warfare 2 is a first-person shooter video game developed by Infinity Ward and published by Activision. The game is a sequel to the 2019 reboot game and serves as the 19th installment in the overall Call of Duty series. The campaign follows multinational Special Operations Unit Task Force 141 and Mexican Special Forces Unit Los Vaqueros as they attempt to track down terrorist leader Hassan Ziani, who is in possession of American-made ballistic missiles. The game introduces several design improvements and changes to the series' gameplay, such as advanced AI systems in the campaign and co-op modes, water physics, swimming mechanics, and an overhauled vehicle system. New gameplay features and movement tactics include dive to prone, mantle, and ledge hang along with the removal of slide canceling. The game also features a free-to-play Battle Royale mode, Warzone 2.0, a follow-up to the original Warzone, all within a single cross-game launcher, known as Call of Duty HQ. The leveling and gunsmith system has been revamped, allowing players to fine-tune specific attachments to suit their playstyles.
Sniper Elite 5 is a stealth action game that takes players deep into the heart of enemy territory. The game's protagonist, Carl Fairburn, is back on the hunt, shifting the series' established blend of espionage and X-ray executions to 1944 France. The game offers large-scale stealth sandboxes, with each mission providing a variety of objectives. However, the storyline is straightforward and lacks complexity. The gameplay has seen decent improvements, particularly in the sniping mechanism. The detailed shooting camera for each correct assassination encourages players to adopt the method of stealth and concealment. The game's 8 different environments take good advantage of Fairburn's expanded movement set, offering multiple entry points to each facility. You also have a new focus ability that allows you to spot enemies through walls to avoid potential ambushes.
Orcs Must Die 3 is a tower defense game developed by Robot Entertainment. The game is a successor to the award-winning Orcs Must Die series. The player takes the role of one of 2 apprentice war mages and is tasked to defend rifts from an onslaught of orc armies. The game introduces war scenarios, which pit players against the largest orc armies ever assembled. The game features a massive arsenal of traps and weapons that players can use to slice, burn, toss, and zap hordes of repugnant orcs. It also introduces mountable war machines, which give players the essential firepower to heave, stab, carbonize, and disarticulate the abominable intruders. The game has a new story set more than 20 years after Orcs Must Die 2. Star Wars Jedi: Survivors is a narrative-driven action-adventure game set in the Star Wars universe. Developed by Respawn Entertainment in collaboration with Lucasfilm Games, the game continues the journey of Cal Kestis, a surviving Jedi Knight, 5 years after the events of Star Wars Jedi: Fallen Order. Cal faces new threats as the galaxy descends into darkness, and players must guide him through desperate battles against the Empire. The game features stunning visuals, intense lightsaber combat, and exploration across various planets. Players can immerse themselves in the struggle for survival, uncovering secrets, mastering the Force, and confronting powerful enemies. Whether infiltrating Imperial bases or engaging in epic duels, Jedi Survivor delivers an authentic Star Wars experience.